Mm. Alright, Bulan, Bula Vinaka, Bula everyone. Thank you for joining in on this very special webinar that we're hosting through the California State University at the Los Angeles campus in the United States. So I'd like to take this opportunity to greet everybody who are joining us today via Zoom as well as online, and acknowledging the College of Ethnic Studies that I'm part of. And we've been celebrating Melanesia for the last couple of weeks. First of all, we looked at heritage stories from Vanuatu, and then we moved to the Solomon Islands. And last week we visited Papua New Guinea. And today we're very blessed to have our guest from Fiji, Silina Bale. And next week we will be traveling to New Caledonia, where we'll be hosting Dr. Christoph Sand, a renowned archaeologist from New Caledonia, who will be joining us next week. So that will conclude the Five Nations webinar for Melanesia. Yeah, what a wonderful opportunity for our students in Los Angeles, as well as students from all over the world who have also been listening in through the live sessions as well that I've been recording, and those who've been connecting in via Zoom as well. So thank you for taking the time away from your busy schedule to be here with us today. So as usual, for those of you who follow my page, I always play a song. And since Silina is from Fiji, I will play a song from Fiji, and the song is called Vanuatu, which is translated as Beloved Land. And this is a beautiful song that was written by a songwriter from the island of Kandahar, writing this beautiful song while he was enjoying the view of the ocean, enjoying the views of the beautiful flowers and of the island. So that is why this song is so beautiful. Everyone knows this song, whether you're a rugby player, whether you are in the military, or whether you are, living overseas. Most of us know this song. So we hope that you will enjoy it too. Naka, welcome to this webinar.
Sai viti romani na lobo
what a beautiful song to welcome and start our session today. And it's a song called Banondomon. Yeah, and what a beautiful, relevant song for this Talanoa with Silina Bale. And it is a song that really resonates with the work that she does. And we are so blessed that she accepted my humble invitation for her to be here with us in this webinar, in this Talanoa session. So let us greet her to the program, into the webinar. Mio Sambulare Silina.
Bula, bulare, Dr. T. Bula.
Vinaka, Vinaka. And maybe just tell us where you're logging in from right now and maybe a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm logging in from Suva. So I think from time to time my internet connection might die on me because sometimes the rain just comes on full force and next minute the sun is out. So we'll just see how it goes today. Okay, I'm the Silina Bale, and I come from Bua Nikoro, Vasu Lau, Nasangalau Lakemba. I come from a family of five. I have four other siblings. Two of them live overseas, Australia and England. Another two are in and out of vakalevu. My father passed away a few years ago and is buried in Bua, in Navatua in Bua. I have two children, Hannah and Manuel. They're both working and studying at the same time.
Kandila, Vinaka Valevsar Silina, and I'm greeting some of your family members who are watching in online too. Nimbola, thank you for joining us today. So now, Silina, which school did you attend in terms of primary and secondary school?
That's how it goes. Sorry.
I think you're breaking. I think your internet is lagging a little bit. So yeah, you can turn off the video. Hopefully your audio will still work. Nimbola, thank you very much for joining us today and hearing stories from Silina. So we'll just wait for her to come back online. And yeah, hopefully her
I think I'm
audio.
on now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And it's nice and clear. So my question was if you just share with us your schooling, your primary and secondary school that you attended back in the day.
Okay, so I moved around a little bit. I started school here in Suva at St. Anne's, and then I moved to New Caledonia. My father was a public health specialist, so he got quite a job with the SPC in Noumea. So we moved to New Caledonia, had the opportunity to be in a French school, a school in Noumea for a few years. And that's where I picked up the French language. As you know, New Caledonia is a French territory, and I'm so happy that you are going to move to New Caledonia next week also with your Talanoa, with your webinar. So while I was there, I attended my middle school in Noumea at the College Jean Mariotti. And then I carried on to New Zealand, where I attended boarding school for a few years. I started off at an all-girls school, and that was in New Plymouth Girls High. And then a few years after, I moved to a boys' school. It was more of a rugby school, Wesley College in Pairata, Kikoy, that's in South Auckland. It's the same school where Jonah Lomu, the rugby player, attended. So I was rubbing shoulders with a rugby great already at that time. He was much junior from me, but he was already playing good rugby. Okay, with that, after that, I moved to France through a French government scholarship. Okay, and I attended a language school. in Vichy, that's in the center of France, a language school called Cavillam. And then I moved on to the south of France in Montpellier. After that, I came back to Fiji and started working at the Alliance Française de Suva for about 7 years. At the same time, I did a few years teaching at Yatsen Secondary School, and I was teaching French. After that, I moved to International School Suva, and there I taught French there for 15 years.
That's a long
So
time.
I was just about to say 15 years is a long time. So even there at international school, I was not only teaching French. So while I was there, became the head of languages, working with teachers from language teachers from Korea, China. By the time I left, Spanish and sign languages also being added to the languages on offer in the school. I also did I coordinated some of the programs that were in place at the international school. And that was programs like the Cambridge International General Certificate for Secondary Education, and that's IGCSE. For a few years also, I was IB coordinator. Then that's the International Baccalaureate Program. And I think one of the ones I really loved, that was really close to my heart, was being the CAS coordinator, which is a community outreach program, and also the Duke of Edinburgh coordinator for a while at the school. So these are the two. This coordinator, the CAS coordinator, was what shaped how my business is running today.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I had a couple of messages from your teacher colleagues from international yesterday. So they
Okay.
were inquiring about you. So hopefully I've reminded them the equivalent time for your Talano today. So they may be joining us online as well. So Bula Vinaka to all the teachers at international secondary school and international schools in Suba. Silina was one of your longtime teachers over there. So it's wonderful that she can be here with us on this special California State University webinar that we're hosting for this fall semester. Vinaka vakalevu sara Silina. So, well, since you mentioned French and you taught the language, and of course you are Fijian and you're teaching the language, we would like to hear a little bit of French from you. Maybe just introduce yourself to us in French, if possible, Silina, just for us to hear.
Ok, bonjour, je m'appelle Silina, je suis fidjienne et j'ai passé quelques années en Nouvelle-Calédonie et maintenant j'ai enseigné le français un peu aussi à Fidji et voilà, je suis contente que ce webinaire va, va passer en Nouvelle-Calédonie la semaine prochaine. Naka.
Man, that sounds so beautiful, man. Uh, Vinaka Vakalevu, we're so proud of you, Selena, for, being from Fiji, speaking the Fijian lingo, but you mastering that beautiful French, and Vinaka for sharing that with us. And I'm
Okay,
sure,
all I said was I'm
yeah.
happy that this webinar is going to take place in New Caledonia next week.
Vinaka Vanessa Selena, just sounds so beautiful. I'm sure your students must have loved you being their teacher. Sevadam Selena.
I hope so.
Vinaka. And in terms of your studies, you've traveled quite a lot with, your dad, and you moved around, and the choice of the subjects that you took, did that moving around with your dad influence the choices of the subjects, or did you have something that you have chosen from a very young age in terms of pathway of your choice?
I think just when looking back, I
Mm,
think I where my business is today, It was probably something that I was probably missing.
Mm.
You know, when you're moving around, you're missing Fiji. And it seems like now I've done a whole turnaround. Ever since I came back to Fiji, I've only always just worked with international organizations, whether I'm working with the French Alliance Française, I'm working with international schools. There are programs that are coming in from outside. And somehow, now that I've left teaching, I've it sort of shaped me, reconnected me back to where I've come from. I just felt as if I was missing Fiji through my profession because I was teaching French. That's a whole nother culture.
Mhm, mhm,
And this is probably just bringing me back from where I come from. Uh,
mhm.
I went somewhere. I went through my studies around the place. I studied other things around the world, but this has brought me back to Fiji. My business also is now just shaped around what we have in Fiji, the beauty of Fiji, and what we can offer around the world.
Talk Vinaka Bale Sara Silina, because one of the main theme of this webinar has been looking at heritage stories from around Melanesia, in the Pacific region. So all the guests that I've invited, we wanted them to feature their story, connecting it to their heritage, and also how they use heritage in their line of work. So I'm
Right.
so glad that we've kind of shaped that conversation already, going back to your
Yes.
upbringing, yeah, and where your parents went and the schooling that took place in New Zealand. It's amazing, Vinaka vakalevu, Sara, for enriching us, with your life's journey at a very young age. Now, Selena, since we're on the subject of language, and we know that, in the Pacific, our indigenous languages are, so valuable. And I know there's some young people, some of my students that are also listening in today, who are still speaking their language. What would you like to tell them about the importance of them valuing their language?
I think there's a lot of stories behind the words, the
Mm,
depth of the words that you speak in your own language. Sometimes you can't interpret it into another language. Through my line of work also, while working at the at the Alliance Française, I also became the interpreting and translation coordinator, which I also still do from time to time. And the beauty, sometimes there are just so many things that you cannot translate into English. You lose it. And even today, some of the things that come out in French, it's very hard for me to explain it in English also. And it's the same thing in Fijian, our language also, the beauty of it. My father used to like writing poems in Fijian, and it it's so beautiful that it's so hard to sort of translate it into English. It's very important to sort of hold on to that. That beauty is deep within you. Only you know how beautiful it is. You can't really translate some of the beauty that comes out from the languages that you all speak.
Dina Sarana. I love the word beauty, that you associated with the language. So thank you for reminding us, the beauty of our language and the power that our language has as well, yeah, in terms of the retention of our heritage stories
Mm,
from the past, yeah, to
right.
our
Yes.
current generation and for the future. Sebada
And
Vasili.
very true. And it carries a lot of meaning. Your language also carries a lot of meaning as time goes by. Also, language always moves. You start losing out on all the depth, and it can also lead to miscommunications later on in life. So it's very important for you to hold on to the
Mm,
languages that you know now, and also just by going through the different communities around Fiji, the different dialects that are here,
mm,
that I hear along the way. it's so beautiful seeing the young kids speak with it, when you go into Nandronga and all the different dialects. It's beautiful. I sometimes I don't know what's going on, but I just sit there and just listen to them. Even the Bua dialect, it just sort of makes me happy to see the children speaking that dialect.
That is wonderful. I'm glad you mentioned there, Selena, that you may not know what they're saying, but just listening, to
Mm,
their conversation is such a beautiful thing.
yes,
And especially with our young ones, yeah. So
yes.
I think that's something we need to encourage our parents, yeah, to if you have little children, encourage them to speak their dialect if possible.
Yes, yes. And these dialects are not only for Fiji. Sometimes I do some interpreting for New Caledonia or the Kanaks when they have their own dialects. And sometimes I have to stop because I can't I can't interpret what they're saying in their own different dialects. It's no longer French. They're expressing themselves in their own. It's beautiful to hear.
Vinaka Sara Silina for highlighting that can be one of our takeaways today from the webinar. The importance of holding on to our language, because our
Mm.
language defines us. Yeah.
Yes, and the language also has a lot of history, and also the history. Some of this history you don't see it in the textbook. It's not written in writing, and it's passed down from generation to generation. And I've seen them. Some of the places that we take our visitors to, we get the people from there to tell their stories, and their stories are not exactly what's written in the textbooks. And I mean, we all know where those stories came from. Whoever was in control at that time wrote those stories, wrote that history. It's the history of
Mhm.
somebody else. Okay? So through this language, the history is able to be passed down through generation and to generation. Yeah.
Vinaka Sara Selina, for encouraging us to, value our language, value our dialects, and
Mm.
value our indigenous stories.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
so beautiful, Vinaka vakalevu for that, Selina. So now, in terms of finding islands tours, the company that you have created and have started, tell us what inspired you to start this tour agency business.
Okay. I think it was uh, just traveling around Fiji. I had after while we were still teaching, I had the opportunity to sort of get to know the Utonialo. We had a task where we needed to look for something that was out there in the community that we thought would help our students
Mm.
and connect them to the community. So a friend of mine, Jenny Lou, we decided to reach out to Colin Phillips to see if we could sort of put together a program with our students to reconnect them to nature. And the Utonialo was one that stood out for us. So in the end, we did get a program going. It was a hands-on program, so we got our students to start sailing on the Utonialo. We went around Fiji a few times, different places around Fiji, and that's where I started seeing the beauty of the different villages that we were visiting, and no one was tapping into that. You have the mainstream tourism out there, but this was beauty on another level. The genuineness, the authenticity I was seeing there. So I guess that's where Finding Island Tours came to be. It start originally I thought that I would call it Finding Fiji, but
Right.
then I found out later that there's already another book that's called Finding Fiji.
I see.
So at the time also I couldn't you can't register the word Fiji. when you go to the registry of companies. So on the spot, I changed it to Finding Islands, just to keep with the theme and the idea that was behind the whole the business idea. Okay, so that's where it came about. I guess also it was I was trying to find something different. Huh? I had 15 years is a long time. I had been approaching something like 20 years of teaching, and I was probably looking for something different, a little bit more challenging. And the Utonyalo was there at the right time. Also met, it was a privilege having to work with Colin Phillips and some of the voyagers from at that time. It's unfortunate that he passed on, but that ignited a lot of. I mean, that gave me the opportunity also to see the different parts of Fiji, yeah, and also. Those programs were not just about voyaging. Those programs also was about ocean stewardship, and ocean stewardship meaning looking after the ocean, and that was all coming in together. That was all part of that program. So I guess that's where Finding Islands came about. I also just felt that what was out there, that what was out in the mainstream tourism didn't really reflect our communities. The communities, our youth, there was hardly anything, or the stories, the depth of stories that were out there. I just didn't feel that there was not many people working with our communities, with our youths, to showcase that part of Fiji, the different villages and the different communities. I guess that's what inspired me to go take that road, and just seeing how the youths were working with the communities, how they were learning from each other. Our students would go back to international school and they were transformed. The exchanges between what they were going through on the boat, as well as the work they did on the ground when they came to a village. I could see the transformation. And they were all saying that you will never have this kind of opportunity anywhere else around the world. And this transformation was just not from the outside. I could see that it was going down, trickling all the way to their daily lives, to the way they saw themselves. They got to understand who they were, their relationships with each other, all those kind of things. When you're on a boat, you learn to sort of get along with each other. There's a leadership skills, there's hands-on skills that you're learning when you go out, go out into the community. You got survival skills, and all these different skills seem to come out when they're in the villages, or when they're on the ground, or when they're sailing on the Utunialo, those kind of things.
Silina. I'm just sharing here a picture of the Utunialo crew and officials. So, for those of you who may not be from Fiji, wouldn't know what Utunialo is, this is the one of our canoes, yeah, which has been inspired by I think one of our philanthropists there from Europe, who came over to the region and started this movement for, I think, 7 countries to create their own canoe that are sailing across the ocean. So Utunialo is one of them. So Vinaka Silina for highlighting the important work that Utunialo does. I'm a keen follower of Utunialo, Silina. And what are your plans with Utunialo? Do you want to continue to work with them in terms of the program that you're doing for your company?
I think we did a few programs with Otonialo during the time that I was there. I became the vice president for a while also. And I think I've just moved on to something else now. We still, from time to time, if there are guests who want to do a trip on the Otonialo, I do reach out to them. But I've moved on to more working within the communities. My business is more shaped around that. It's not only by the sea, it's through the land also. Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge our now princess standing right here in the middle. Vinaka Maramaneta. Even Nancy Bunikura, if you are listening and watching this live maybe later, just so that we acknowledge the work that you do. Because Silina, she's one of our very famous woman sailor. Who's really, made the sailing so reachable to so many of us. Yeah. So again,
Yes.
really acknowledging our women sailors. Vinaka Silina.
Yes, I've also invited her a few times also for some of our tours, some of our programs. She comes in to talk to, and giving her story, a fascinating story that Eva has with her. Yeah.
No, it's really wonderful to have our own young people, especially for her, choosing sailing, as part of her career choice, and it's wonderful that she can be a good role model for our young girls that are listening. Wow, so there you go. That's Utunialo, and really acknowledging the Utunialo Trust for the amazing work that they do, training our future generations and connecting them to the ocean. And so, because for you, Silina, that your company is based, sailing in the ocean, you combine both, right? For tours on land and the
Yes.
sea.
See, yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Vinaka. And while I still have the picture of Utunialo here, I always believe that we need more of such canoes. We've got one Utunialo. What do you think, being in this business, should we encourage more of these canoes to be built, the more we can have in Fiji? What are your thoughts?
Oh, yes. I think there's another vessel also that is out there. And I think they've also moved with FNU. The universities also are working with on this.
Mm,
And there are some boat builders out there also, programs out there in place. And I think the Utunialo probably also has programs also in place to revive this. Revive the traditional knowledge
mhm.
through sailing. Yeah.
Through sailing. Wow, Vinaka Bakalipsar. And I think there's a comment here online from my life from Taniela Servato, who's based in Europe, saying that we need to revive canoe building. So we need to,
Mm.
really
Yes.
supporting what you just said, Selena. Mm.
Mm.
Wow. Okay, Vinaka Bakalipsar, for for sharing that part of your story for your business. So now let's go into your business. What year did you start, Selena, to set Finding Island tours?
Okay, I started in the 2022. It was firstly my side hustle because I was still teaching full time at international school, and I was just doing these things on the side uh, on in the weekends. I left teaching at the end of 2023, and then I went full force into it this year. So that's why it's a little bit more out there this year, mainly because it's become my full-time job.
Wow, congratulations. Well done. It's really nice to see women, in the space of business. And in this case, incorporating tourism, yeah, in your line of work. Now, what are some of the blessings that you experienced? Maybe just share two of when you start to go in full time this year in 2024.
Okay, I think one of the main highlights for me, because it was something new, tourism was something new for me. is I had to find what I wanted, what kind of tourism I sort of believed in. And already at that time, I spent a few years teaching travel and tourism also in the high school for a while. And I was already sort of navigating towards sustainable tourism. But I didn't know if anything of that sort existed. So I was doing things on my own. And I think one of the best things that happened is for me to join the Dovata Collective at the beginning of this year. I was working in Silo, and then Dovata Collective Tourism. It's a collective voice of tourism operators who believe that tourism should enhance cultural heritage and the environment. So this kind of things is what resonated with me. Um, in the past, I felt as if I was isolated because, mainstream tourism is not really this.
Mm.
This is another kind of tourism. So I felt that the Dovata Collective was what would help me. And ever since then, I've really, they've also, there are people from the Dovata Collective, the founders. They've been doing this for years. They've proven themselves. Some of them have been out there for the past 20 years or so. Some have been doing sustainable tourism for over 10 years now. So these have become the people that we look up to, the people that I ask for advice, and the people who've sort of molded me towards what I wanted my business to sort of look like, kind of thing. So I think that's one of the main things that I've taken away for this year is joining the Dovat Collective. I think the second one is completing the accelerator program, the YGAP program. That I joined also at the beginning of this year.
Mm.
It's a program that's been carried out in Africa and the Pacific, and it's been running in Fiji for a number of years now.
Mm.
And their mission is to create positive change by making entrepreneurship accessible to everyone. So this program has helped me refine and shape my business. I started off all over the place. And this is also, I guess it was also through this program that I realized that Dovata Collective is actually what I needed to be with. I'm a bit of an introvert, so having these kind of programs and having the Dovata there, it sort of helped me build a tribe of like-minded entrepreneurs that sort of understand each other. We understand each other. Yeah,
Mm.
so those are the two main highlights for me. It's
Wow.
being part of the Ndovata Collective and also this program, the YGAP program also. And the YGAP programs also helped with the setting up networks and building a tribe of ladies. The YGAP one was just for women. So ladies that we can bounce off ideas for. We understand each other. We also sort of support each other's businesses. So I guess it's these two programs, these two, Dovata Collective and the YGAP program for me is
Mm.
what's really helped me shape my business.
That's wonderful to hear. So networking is
Yes,
really key in your line of work, Selena.
yes,
Wow. And if I can use that phrase, as we all know, no woman is an island,
very true.
or no man is an island. Yeah, we just cannot work in isolation. So it's really important
Exactly,
there in business. Thank you for sharing your story there. That you were working in isolation, and also you were an introvert, but participating in these two programs allowed you to come out of your shell. Would that be a right way to
exactly.
say, Selena?
Very true. The YGAP program sort of pushed me out of my comfort zone. No? They really pushed me open. There are things that we look at as being. We were not taught to do those kind of things. We were always taught to be humble, not to go out there and not keep talking about yourself. Whereas this program sort of broke those kind of things. They sort of helped me unlearn some of the things. And there are times where you need to be out there and showing, promoting your business. And some of the belief system I had in the past. And it's also, I guess, it's the way you're raised. The way you're raised, the way we are raised as islanders, Pacific Islanders, we're not used to sort of being out there and just showing what we do and things like that. This kind of programs sort of help you break it just helps you relearn some of the strategies that you can use to help your business grow.
Vinaka vakalevu, Silina, for sharing those two wonderful highlights of the year. And that's something that most of us who are listening today, those who are listening online and those who are in Zoom, can take away. Yeah, the importance of networking with like-minded people.
Yes.
That's a key. Yeah. And that's wonderful to hear. So, Silina, you also mentioned, the mainstream tourism, and then you also referred to the other, is, sustainable, tourism, or tourism that are using a lot of heritage um, uh, elements in their line of work. How do you enjoy, working in? I think you were working in both spaces. How would you differentiate these two spaces, Silina? The mainstream tourism, and then the other one, which is based on heritage or sustainable.
Okay. I think the heritage one, I think it's everywhere in Fiji. It's the stories that come out of it that is very powerful, and that's why for me I see it as it's transformational because it touches the heart. When you go, there are places like Lovoni, when we take our visitors to Lovoni, especially Overlau, it's rich in heritage. Everywhere you go, there's something new to come out of it. And the lessons that are learned, it's powerful when it comes out of the people. And our tours, we're not the ones telling the story. The story is told by the communities, is told by the children, is told by the youths of those places. So for me, that's how powerful it is. And you see the transformation on the guests that come with us. I think one of the places that stands out for me a lot is Ovalau. Really, everywhere you go, everywhere you move. The last place we took one of the journalists to was to Viro, and Viro has a connection with the Lao. Those were the settlers that came in from Lao, and it takes you all the way back to the time of Ratumara. You're learning the history of Fiji as we go to all these different places. I mentioned Lovoni. I've also mentioned, I think Levuka also is it's rich in this kind of heritage stories. For me, it's the passing down those stories that you will probably not see in the textbook. I'm not the only one doing it. Just I think last month it was, a few weeks back, I did a trip with Talanoa Treks up, and they have that story of Reverend Baker. It's powerful, and just watching the guests listening from the beginning, and then towards the end, the story as they're going through those few days, you see them being transformed, and then you take away the lessons that you learn from all these different experiences. Sometimes it could be lessons of resilience, sometimes it could be lessons of forgiveness, sometimes it could be lessons, just for the different types of people you're taking across. You're taking students across. The transformation, you're looking at things like leadership skills and learning history as you go. For me, it's that it's a little the depth comes with visiting Fiji. That's for me is the difference. It's not just being on a bus and just looking and observing people. The stories that come from the people that makes a big difference. That makes the difference, and you also hear it from the travelers that come with us. They tell us themselves how they were transformed just by interacting. It's that relationship, that human relationship that take place. I think the heritage story is not only from outside the Melanesian side. One of those groups also that stands out for me also is the ladies from Rakiraki. We started also, we have this group of Indian ladies. And then they came in, they're working in the cane fields and they got stories too, stories that go way back on how their ancestors arrived and the cane farming and all those things. And those are very powerful stories. And when you have this kind of stories, it's not only meant for overseas tourists, it's all meant for us Fijians also, because we are learning from it also. We are learning from what happened in different parts of Fiji. I have a lot of local people. When we first did our Levuka trips, it was mostly the local Fijians who came on it. And we had a lady, I think she was 87 or something. She's passed on, but she told her daughter she wanted to come because she's always heard so many things about Levuka. She's always seen it in the Fiji Times, and she wanted to come and hear those stories. So that's how deep this visiting the different parts of Fiji are. Okay, it's not only meant so our trips are not only attracting overseas people.
Overseas.
It's actually attracting a lot of Fijians, and a lot of Fijians, even expats that live here in Fiji,
Mm-hmm.
who want to know that history, who want that depth of understanding. And I guess it's all about understanding Fiji.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these stories sort of link up to what Fiji is looking like today. Our history, things like that. Yeah. So for me, it's more that. That's the difference and I think that's probably the reason why when I started finding island tours, I didn't really know if there were people out there. There was an organization out there that sort of resonated with that authenticity or the stories of that we have out there about Fiji. I wasn't sure whether there was, but I was so lucky that Marita Manley sort of picked me up there.
Vinaka Marita.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then that's where I realized, oh yes, there's a group, there's a tribe out there that is exactly what I was looking for, and I'm happy because with this latest Adventure Next a Fiji event that took place also, it's
Uh-huh.
helped the Dovata Collective also connect with overseas people or an organization out there, a bigger organization out there,
Mm.
so that has the same similar type of values.
Wow, that is beautiful. Because while you were sharing your story, I was going to ask you, whether the Fijians as well, are going to be part of your tour, and you answered it really well. So thank you for sharing that. So for Fijians who are listening in online, please check out their Facebook page, Finding Island Tours, and book your trip, online as well, and reach out to Silina Bale and her team. Now, how many are in your team, Silina?
There's three of us, but we engage people when we're out there on the field. My business is not only doing the tours, I also have just started our merchandise also. Those are our bags that you can take with you when you're traveling with us. And I also still have the interpreting and translation from time to time. I have some the organizations that reach out to me to do the French English interpreting. So that's one of the other branches that's also part of my business.
Wow, that is wonderful. Vinaka Silina for highlighting that. I think even last week when we were talking to Marleta, our sister from Papua New Guinea, she was saying that she was running three businesses. So it's very similar with you. So you two are amazing, amazing women in the space of ecotourism or tourism and business. Vinaka Silina, what a wonderful example you are to women who are listening in today. We have some comments as well coming on the chat, but I will share that to you after this. But yeah, what is the future for you, Selena? Because I know you're doing it full time for the very first time for 2024, and we are already halfway for this month. What does 2025 look like?
Well, I'm hoping that I'll be a little bit more stable. This year was just full-time discovering discovering what is out there, discovering the tourism space also. I thank the Tourism Fiji, the destination development team, who've also part of the YGAP program. It sort of opened up the different spaces for us to sort of better understand the industry. I hope I'll be a little bit more stable next year and we'll see how
Uh,
it goes.
And also acknowledging the Dovata collective. So, what would you like to say to them? Because I know some of them are watching right now. Selena?
Bula team, you're doing well out there, Dovata Collective. And I look up to all of them. I look up to all of them for inspiration and the advice that I get from the founders, Jenny and Marita, and also Cassie. You need those kind of people out there to sort of move us forward. They're the examples that you have out there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it just gives you that feeling that you're not alone. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow. And as you are learning for the very first time, you'll have someone to call on, yeah? Someone to ask questions and you don't feel shy about asking. And someone will always be there to answer it for you. Sevada Vasilina.
Yeah, very true. Sometimes I have a long chat with Jenny. Jenny is the owner of Nukumbati Resort, and also Marita, also from Talanor Tracks. The advice is always there. So we share each other's experiences, and it's great to have a tribe like that. So,
That is wonderful. Wow, man, Vinaka Valevu, Selena for sharing such a beautiful journey with us. And for those of you who are watching, I look forward to the time when I will invite you again. For our students here at California State University, I hope that this webinar will be of use to you because many of my classes, Selena, that I teach, I always make sure I incorporate elements of the Pacific in it, so that our
mm.
students can have a little taste of that. Mentioning taste, Selena, is food also part of your journey? Because I know many of us love food.
Oh yes. Sometimes you have learn sometimes they learn a Fijian dish. We try and get them also to be part of the lovo making from
Ah,
time to time. Even the group from Raki Raki, the Indian ladies, we have the Indian cooking. They have a section there also where we learn about some of the food, the Indian food that they've incorporated in their cooking.
that is wonderful. Wow. There you go. For those of you who are listening in, if you join this trip, make sure you're hungry because you will be well fed. Yeah, so you're learning about the history, right? You're learning about the culture,
Right.
but also food is incorporated in that, eh? Because Selena, food has so much history and stories.
Oh, very much. And the food, they know the ingredients. They know how to cook the fish. They know how to
Oh,
to mix the vegetables. The communities are really the food is something that a lot of people talk about when they leave. They always tell us that the food is really, but it's not us making it. it's the communities that are making the food.
That is so powerful. The Vinaka Silina for incorporating all of that. The storytelling, the food, the travel on the boat, the travel on the bus. And man, next time I'll be there, I want to come in your tour, Silina. Yes, it sounds like fun, and I'm sure Dr. Anna and Jinging, my student here, would love to join too. So, Selena, for those of us who are listening, if we want to join your tours, how do we find you and how do we register?
Okay, we have our social media page out there that has all the details about us, our Facebook page and our Instagram page. We have also a TikTok page. Also, our website is out there, and with all our details there. So you can always drop us a line or drop us a message on one of these places here, and we'll answer you.
So it's finding
Finding Islands Tours.
Finding Islands tour. Yeah, Finding Islands tour. Find them on all social media handles. Eh?
Yeah.
So go for
Yeah.
it. Everybody, support our sister from Fiji who is just starting her new business, and it's wonderful that she's connecting it with the culture and the people's voices incorporated in it as well. So I have one question for you, Selena. Um, that is coming through. Maybe before I go to the questions, I'll go back to you. What would be your advice to young girls or even women who are listening to us today in terms of entrepreneurship and heritage? What would you like to say to them about these two beautiful ways of living that can be combined to turn into something, that you can earn a living from?
Okay. If here in Fiji, Fiji has so many things to offer. We have so many stories, beautiful stories. The experiences also in our communities that we can share. That can be turned into a business. That talanoa. I just feel that even if you're turning something into a business, you have to also remember the impact on the environment that comes with this kind of projects. Just be mindful of that. We're in the tourism space, and I think one of the big issues is also the waste management, benuda, that I think the environment and that benuda is probably one of the things you just have to be mindful of. Waste management. That's also going to be something it's a big issue now everywhere.
Mhm.
But just be mindful of the impact on the environment and how you're managing your waste. Yeah.
Wow, so that's very, very important. Eh? A big reminder, particularly in your line of work, because you travel
Mm.
in those spaces and you with people from who are your guests. Yeah. So it's really
Mm.
important for people who are living there in the community to please look after or manage your waste properly.
Manage your waste, yeah, because that's also your sitting room, I guess. Huh?
Ay, Dina Saranga.
If
Dina
you're going
Saranga.
to want to create something about heritage in your own backyard, just also make sure too that you are also helping out with the environment.
Absolutely. So wow. So sustainable tourism also comes in those years to
Mm.
look after our environment sustainably. Please,
Yes.
let's apply proper waste management processes in where we live in our community. This is Selena. Thank you again. I will open it up for questions or comments. I've got a few from those online, but I will start off with those of us in the Zoom room. Dr. Anna and Jiging, if you have any questions, Dr. Anna, or comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Um, yes, I was just wondering. I mean, it's kind of really pioneering for you to be doing this, and what sorts of challenges did you get from, for instance, the communities that you worked with?
Okay, just the challenges, I think, because we're more of a tour operator, it's managing those expectations. Sometimes the communities whatever the communities think that are good. Not sure whether the customer also is on the same length as that, or are they on the same length as the customer. And those are the challenges, trying to manage, finding that balance between what's out there in the community and the expectation also that's coming from the customers. Another thing that one of the challenges is the kind of business that I had started. We were going out looking for places that were sort of neglected, or they were just left. They were not developed. So we were trying to. That's why it was called Finding Islands. We were looking out for those islands or those places that I thought had the potential to grow, but just seemed to be neglected. So we were going out to these places that were neglected. And then when we finally found them, the bad publicity that comes out when somebody sees something that's not right out there, kind of thing. And when you're at that stage when you're just trying to start to, hey, let's try and get people to sort of know, to work. We were working with the stories that came out. And then there's somebody who goes out on social media and just says everything that's not looking right in that space. I'm just taking a place like Levuka. We were trying to sort of get people to sort of understand that there's a lot of heritage stories that are behind all that physical things that are falling apart. And then someone would just put something out there, and then we had to sort of restart again and sort of try and build and tell people, hey, it's not about those physical things that are falling apart. There's more to it. Behind those physical buildings or that heritage site, there's a story to be told. There's a history about Fiji right there that you're not seeing. So I think that was one of my biggest challenges, that I had to sort of really pull my head out and figure out how am I going to change the narrative. So that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to have to sort of switch it to the people, because it's the people who keep those places alive, the people from those communities that you need to. And that was, for me, I think that was one of my biggest challenges was what I saw that happened. That was in Levuka, and I think it was it took place, I think, last year, when I think the government was trying to come back in to sort of restore some of the things that were falling apart in there. It was just like a big boom. It was put, people say things without realizing that, it's detrimental to the people who live there. We're trying to build a tourism. You're trying to get people to see the beauty that we see. You probably can't see it with a physical building or the site that's falling apart, but you need to sort of, I think that was one of my biggest challenge. And I think it also, because of the kind of business I had put in place, I was going into new places and trying to sort of create something or put some kind of structures that will help bring people there, attract people to those places, and then those kind of things that you can't control. That's probably one of my biggest challenge, was just trying to control that negative comments that are coming out of places that you're trying to build up.
Yeah. So thank you for your courage. You're very inspiring, and I hope to visit Fiji someday soon. Yes. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Dr. Anna. Well, if you want a place to stay, you know where to stay. Yeah. So you're most welcome to come and stay at our farm, Dr. Anna.
True.
Yeah. So Celine, I have a question from Taniela Serubatu from
Mhm.
Switzerland. His question is to do with the stories that you were mentioning that are shared by the local people when you are taking your tour groups. What are your thoughts about the recording of such stories? Have you thought about it? And he's just thinking about the recording of those stories while you are out there.
All right. Yes. Well, there were times also when we are taking our tours out. There are times when I tell myself the same thing. These stories need to be recorded. But I'm a tour business. I would love for it to be recorded, but I think it comes back down to the communities themselves. And these are stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. They're beautiful stories. I'm not sure whether there's, I guess you need to ask the communities themselves if they want these stories to be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very true, and I think in that case, I'm just thinking out loud here. Since I used to work at the Fiji Museum, and I know
Mm,
they have such a wonderful team that work there, as well as the Department of Culture and Heritage, and the Itoke Ministry. I think they also have the different departments,
mm,
that have recorded a lot of stories along the way. Yeah? So maybe
yes,
this can be a wonderful opportunity to network with
yes,
those establishments and see, how can you all collaborate,
right, yeah,
because the museum is a repository of these stories, but you're the
mm,
one out there, how
mm,
can you work together,
right,
to be
yeah,
able to make the two work? And then if the locals are happy for their stories to be recorded, it's a win-win for you, for the community, and for the repository institution.
very true, very true, very true. One of my latest trips to Ovalau, and that's where what I really felt. That's one of the places I went to. It was Vero. Vero, that was one place where I really felt, man. I even asked the elders, your story's been registered somewhere because they're very powerful. Huh? We also went to some of their neighbors around. They have their own different versions of the same story. Yeah? They have their own documents. There was a man there who brought out some documents to show us. Huh? And that was probably one of the times in my head I was telling myself, man, I wonder where else. I mean, I felt so privileged that I got to listen to these powerful stories, but
Yeah.
it was there in my mind also. It's like, wow, these stories need to be written somewhere. And these are stories that they've passed down from generation to generation, and they tell us the stories about how they came and they settled there and what their relationships were like within amongst themselves, because they were two villagers from different places in Laos that came in and had to sort of live together in that spot. Huh? The stories are powerful, yeah. But you're right, yes. We have to ask them. At the end of the day, it's. I actually asked them if there's somebody in there, one of their own sons, who had probably had been thinking of writing something about this, probably a book or something
Mm.
of that sort. But
That is
there are some places
beautiful.
that we go to that
Wow.
that feeling comes, huh? It comes up, but I'm not sure whether it's in my position to sort of record all these things. Yes.
Mm. And also, Daniela just mentioned a point here about you to collaborate as well with the Ministry of Education. That
Yes.
is wonderful because, every place you go to, there are schools, yeah? And,
Yes.
connecting with them, because I still remember when we used to do archaeological excavations around Fiji, when
Mm.
I was at the Fiji Museum. Wherever we go in any parts of Fiji, we identify a day where we visit the local schools, and
Right.
then
Yes.
we explain to them what are we doing there, who is an archaeologist, why are we
Mm.
digging, why are we there in the first place. So from our travel around Fiji, Selena, and everybody was asking us, what is lapita? Because we keep talking
Mm.
about the pottery, and so I
Yes.
was inspired to write a book on
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so it was this little resource book that looked like this, and it was sold at the Fiji Museum.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
so it was called Talo no Nilapita. And
Oh,
people always ask me, why did you write the book? And I said, I wrote the book because everywhere we go, we were sounding like a broken record, because everybody was asking us the same question and we were saying the same thing. We keep repeating ourselves. So for me to stop for us to say the same thing over and over again, I just gave them the book.
Right. Yes. Yes.
I was just like, these are the books for the schools and these are the books for the parents, and you can read it. And then before we leave, we can have another community meeting and we'll tell you what we found. It was a really enriching experience, So, yeah, so it was just a little resource book like this, Selena, that I just
Mm.
put together and I wrote it. And it has to be reprinted, apparently. Some schools were asking for the resource because now it's included in the examination, the lapid
Mm.
pottery. So for the children, eh?
Right.
So yeah. So Vinaka vakalevu Silina. Any other questions from the audience? I think Taniela has been the most active online. He's from Kandavu. He lives in
Okay.
Switzerland. Yeah.
Bola
Yes.
Taniela.
Yeah, Vinaka Taniela, thank you for asking those wonderful questions. And he's a school teacher too. So your story today, Selena, has really empowered him because he tries to incorporate sustainable discussions in his class as well. So Vinaka Taniela, we hope that our sharing today with Selena was useful for you and everybody else who are listening in online. Yeah? Vinaka vakalevu Sara. Any other question from you, Danielle, before we um, say goodbye? Yeah, so it's really nice. There's some of our folks listening and online. Vinaka. So he said Totoka. So Dr. Anna Totoka means awesome or beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So before we finish again, Selena, I would like to pass it back to you for any last words or any last acknowledgement for those who have supported you. Vinaka Selena.
Oh, okay. Maybe I switch off my display application.
Nice to see your smiling face.
I just want to acknowledge that's one yes, so really helped shape my business. Um, and
I think you're breaking off there a little bit. Selena, would you like to start again?
sorry, can you hear me? Sorry. Yeah. Fiji can learn from. Um, and a lot of experiences with it's I learned a lot of and how I've been shaped by this.
Yeah, I think your audio is also um, not coming through. So one last
Sorry,
time.
is it
Oh yeah, it's better now.
one?
Yeah,
It's a
just
bit
yeah,
better.
you can start again.
Okay, just wanted to acknowledge the work of the Dovata Collective. Um, there's a lot of experience there, a lot that Fiji can learn from. It's another kind of tourism, and I hope that everybody in the collective will also be able to share their stories, share their experiences with the rest of Fiji.
Vinaka Selina, all the very best for the remaining part of this year and all the best for 2025 and beyond. Thank you.
Naka.
Vinaka Wata Kumanda. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Anna. Take care. We'll be in touch more there.
Move.
Okay, Vinaka. Yes, thank you so much to everyone who joined in our fourth webinar today, traveling over to Fiji. What a wonderful opportunity to listen to Silina Bale, the owner and creator of Finding Island Tours. So if you want to travel and using their service, please go on all the social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And also they have a website, Finding Island Tours, and book your travel, or not only for overseas folks, also for locals, as what Silina was sharing. Also, the local people are welcome to travel and learn about ourselves, about our own stories, and it's wonderful to hear this wonderful sharing from Silina herself, one of our own sisters of Fiji, and thanking her for stepping forward to share her story with us as we continue our journey around the Pacific, celebrating our heritage stories. On that note, bidding you all goodbye. Take care. Vinaka. Vinaka, everyone.